Welcome to Hollywood Echoes, 1960s. In 1993, Frasier arrived like a perfectly poured glass of sherry, smart, sharp, and effortlessly elegant. But in 2026, the laughter hits differently. Careers took unexpected turns, private battles stayed off camera, and time reshaped faces we thought we'd always recognize. Here's what really happened to the cast of Frasier, then and now. Dr. Frasier Crane, the sophisticated radio psychiatrist with a talent for overthinking love and life, was portrayed by Kelsey Grammer. Born in 1955 in St. Thomas, St. Virgin Islands, Grammer was 38 when Frasier began in 1993, already beloved from Cheers, yet ready to carry a world of his own. Frasier's charm was never just intelligence, it was insecurity dressed in confidence, a man chasing refinement while tripping over his own emotions. His battles with ego, romance, and family, especially with Martin and Niles, gave the comedy its soul. In 2026, Grammer is 71, still working across film, TV, and stage. He also returned for the 2023 revival, proving Frasier wasn't just a character. He's a rhythm audiences still know by heart. Dr. Niles Crane, Frasier's fastidious younger brother and the king of polite panic, was portrayed by David Hyde Pierce. Born in 1959 in Saratoga Springs, New York, Pierce was 34 when he stepped into Niles's immaculate shoes. What made Niles iconic wasn't only the obsession with status and hygiene, it was the vulnerability underneath, especially in his long, aching devotion to Daphne. His physical comedy was surgical, but his emotional arc was surprisingly tender, a man learning to choose joy over appearances. In 2026, Pierce is 67, celebrated for his stage work and selective screen roles. He did not return for the revival, but Niles remains one of sitcom history's most precise and beloved performances. Roz Doyle, the fearless producer with the quickest comeback in the building, was portrayed by Peri Gilpin. Born in 1961 in Waco, Texas, Gilpin was 32 when Frasier launched, and she instantly balanced the Crane brothers' pretension with real-world confidence. Roz wasn't just the dating one. She was ambitious, loyal, and often the only person brave enough to tell Frasier the truth to his face. Her journey into motherhood added warmth without softening her edge. In 2026, Gilpin is 65, still active in TV and voice work, and she even popped up in the revival, giving longtime fans that familiar spark, like hearing a favorite voice through the studio glass again. Martin Crane, the retired cop with the battered recliner and the biggest heart, was portrayed by John Mahoney. Born in 1940 in Blackpool, England, Mahoney was 53 when he became the grounding force Frasier and Niles never knew they needed. Martin's genius was quiet. The way he listened, teased, forgave, often without making a speech about it. His bond with Eddie, his stubborn pride, and his steady love for his sons made him the emotional engine of the series. Mahoney continued acting for years after the finale, then passed away in 2018 at 77. Even now, Martin feels like someone viewers didn't just watch, they lived with. Bob "Bulldog" Briscoe, the loud sports host who turned chaos into a career, was portrayed by Dan Butler. Born in 1954 in Huntington, Indiana, Butler was 39 when Bulldog burst into KACL, part ego, part prank machine, part walking microphone. What kept Bulldog from being a cartoon was the occasional flash of insecurity beneath the bluster, like a man performing toughness because silence scares him. Those quick cracks of humanity made the comedy land harder. In 2026, Butler is 72, still respected for his stage and screen work. Bulldog remains the kind of character who barges in, steals a scene, and leaves an echo behind. Kenny Daly, the station manager who tried to keep KACL from combusting, was portrayed by Tom McGowan. Born in 1959 in Belmar, New Jersey, McGowan was 39 when Kenny arrived, nervous, eager, and hilariously unprepared to manage Frasier's ego. Over time, Kenny became a comfort character, decent, warm, and quietly loyal, even when his staff treated him like furniture. He represented the everyday worker surrounded by extraordinary personalities, and somehow surviving it. In 2026, McGowan is 67, continuing a long career built on that same human, relatable presence. Gil Chesterton, the flamboyant food critic with a voice like velvet judgment, was portrayed by Edward Hibbert. Born in 1955 on Long Island, New York, Hibbert was 39 when he debuted as Gil, turning even a throwaway line into high theater. Gil's humor lived in contrast, luxury tastes, dramatic phrasing, and a desperation to be taken seriously in a room that rarely did. The running jokes around his personal life only worked because Hibbert played Gil with total sincerity. In 2026, he is 71, still working, and the character remains one of the show's most delicious side dishes. Noel Shempsky, the awkward office eccentric with a sci-fi obsession and a painful crush on Roz, was portrayed by Patrick Kerr. Born in 1956 in Wilmington, Delaware, Kerr was 38 when Noel started popping up. Always sweating enthusiasm, always one step away from social disaster. But Noel wasn't cruel or cynical. He was lonely in a way that felt oddly real, and that honesty made him funny rather than pathetic. In 2026, Kerr is 70, still active in TV and theater, proving that even the strangest little characters can become part of a show's emotional wallpaper. Gertrude Moon, Daphne's sharp-tongued mother and professional complainer, was portrayed by Millicent Martin. Born in 1934 in Romford, England, Martin was 66 when she joined the series, arriving like a storm cloud with perfect diction. Gertrude's comedy came from relentless judgment, but Martin played it with such commitment that you almost believed misery was her love language. In 2026, she is 92, celebrated for a long career across stage and television, with Frasier remaining one of her most recognizable late-career roles. Donnie Douglas, the kind-hearted lawyer who got caught in the emotional crossfire, was portrayed by Saul Rubinek. Born in 1948 in Fürstenwald, Germany, Rubinek was 51 when Donnie entered the story. Funny, decent, and genuinely in love with Daphne. That's what made his heartbreak sting. Donnie wasn't a villain, just a man who believed the future was finally his. Rubinek brought warmth that made the storyline hit harder than a typical sitcom twist. In 2026, he is 78, still working, and still remembered by fans as one of the show's most surprisingly human detours. Dr. Lilith Sternin, Frasier's razor-smart ex-wife with an iceberg calm, was portrayed by Babe Newirth. Born in 1958 in Newark, New Jersey, Newirth was 35 when Frasier started, bringing back a character fans already adored from Cheers. Lilith's humor wasn't loud. It was precision, a perfect stare, a sentence delivered like a scalpel. Yet every now and then, vulnerability surfaced, and it made her even sharper. In 2026, Newirth is 68, still thriving on stage and screen, and her appearances remain Frasier at its most sophisticated. Bebe Glazer, the talent agent who could sell your soul and call it career growth, was portrayed by Harriet Sansom Harris. Born in 1955 in Fort Worth, Texas, Harris was 38 when she unleashed Beebe, equal parts charm, menace, and theatrical joy. She didn't just manipulate Frasier, she exposed his hunger for prestige, then danced on the pressure points. every entrance felt like a plot twist in heels. In 2026, Harris is 71, widely respected, and Beb remains the recurring character fans quote with the most nervous laughter. Dr. Mel Karnofsky, the controlled cutting surgeon who briefly redirected Niles' life, was portrayed by Jane Addams. Born in 1965 in Washington, D.C. Bowes, Addams was 34 when she played Mel, smart, sharp, and relentlessly exacting. Mel worked because she wasn't evil. She was simply a person who needed order the way Niles needed air. Their relationship showed how love can look perfect and still feel wrong. In 2026, Addams is 61, continuing a strong career in television and film, often in roles that demand depth beneath the surface. Roni Lawrence, the lounge singer who brought late-season warmth and romance to Martin's life, was portrayed by Wendy Malick. Born in 1950 in Buffalo, New York, Malick was 53 when she joined the show. Roni's confidence and humor shifted the family dynamic, reminding Frasier and Niles that their father deserved joy beyond routine. Malick gave Roni sparkle without turning her into a gimmick. In 2026, she is 76, still highly active, especially in comedy and voice roles. Julia Wilcox, the station manager who challenged Frasier's ego head-on, was portrayed by Felicity Huffman. Born in 1962 in Bedford, New York, Huffman was 41 when she entered the final season, bringing sharp tension and adult realism. Julia wasn't there to flatter Frasier. She forced him to face how difficult he could be when love required compromise. In 2026, Huffman is 64, continuing her career after very public turbulence, and Julia remains a reminder that the show could still surprise in its final chapters. Frederick Crane, the son who constantly humbled Frasier by simply growing up, was portrayed by Trevor Einhorn. Born in 1988 in Los Angeles, California, Einhorn was 8 when he began playing Freddy, initially sweet and studious, later more complex and unpredictable. Those visits to Seattle often exposed Frasier's deepest fear, that he might not truly know his own child. In 2026, Einhorn is 38, still acting, and fans remember him as the character who kept Frasier human, because nothing dismantles pretension faster than parenthood. Simon Moon, Daphne's older brother and walking tornado, was portrayed by Anthony LaPaglia. Born in 1959 in Adelaide, Australia, LaPaglia was 41 when Simon arrived, bringing loud charm, drinking, freeloading, and just enough sweetness to avoid being hated. Simon's comedy worked because it felt like family, exhausting, embarrassing, and somehow still loved. In 2026, LaPaglia is 67, with a career that spans major drama as well as comedy, proof he could play chaos and credibility in the same lifetime. Lana Gardner, Frasier's fiery blast from the past, was portrayed by Jean Smart. Born in 1951 in Seattle, Washington, Smart was 49 when she played Lana, bold, volatile, and impossible for Frasier to manage. Their mismatch was the joke, his refinement versus her raw intensity. In 2026, Smart is 75, and her later career acclaim has only made her Frasier appearances feel like early proof of the powerhouse she always was. Sherry Dempsey, Martin's exuberant girlfriend who terrified Frasier and Niles, was portrayed by Marsha Mason. Born in 1942 in St. Louis, Missouri, Mason was 55 when she played Sherry, warm, loud, unstoppable. Sherry's role was simple but brilliant. She challenged the Crane brothers' snobbery by being unapologetically herself, and the discomfort was the comedy. In 2026, Mason is 84, still admired for a career built on emotional truth as much as charm. Kirby Gardner, Lana's laid-back nephew and Frasier's accidental mentoring project, was portrayed by Brian Klugman. Born in 1975 in Pennsylvania, Klugman was 26 when he played Kirby. Sweet, clueless, and weirdly lovable. Kirby's humor wasn't stupidity, it was aimlessness, that very real young adult fog Frasier kept trying to fix. In 2026, Klugman is 51, active as an actor and filmmaker, and Kirby remains one of the show's best reminders that growth doesn't always come with a diploma. Charlotte, the grounded matchmaker who became Frasier's late-season second chance, was portrayed by Laura Linney. Born in 1964 in New York City, Linney was 39 when she joined the final season. Charlotte didn't feel like a punchline. She felt like timing. The moment Frasier finally stopped chasing a fantasy and chose a real person. In 2026, Linney is 62, still acclaimed, and Charlotte remains the quiet proof that even a sitcom about jokes can end on hope. Kate Costas, the ambitious manager who challenged Frasier professionally and romantically, was portrayed by Mercedes Ruehl. Born in 1948 in Queens, New York, Ruehl was 45 when she played Kate, sharp, commanding, and unwilling to be dazzled by Frasier's vocabulary. Their chemistry was fueled by power struggles, which made the romance burn fast and fade fast. In 2026, Ruehl is 78, respected for her stage and screen work, and Kate remains one of Frasier's most electric, almost stories. Faye Moskowitz, the sweet, intelligent girlfriend caught in Frasier's endless self-sabotage, was portrayed by Amy Brenneman. Born in 1964 in New London, Connecticut, Brenneman was 34 when she played Faye. Warm, capable, and genuinely good for him, which is exactly why Frasier couldn't handle it. Her storyline is one of the show's sharpest truths. Sometimes the right person arrives when you're still addicted to complicated choices. In 2026, she is 62, continuing a career built on emotional clarity. Diane Chambers, the intellectual whirlwind from Cheers, who reopened old feelings, was portrayed by Shelley Long. Born in 1949 in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Long was 44 when Frasier began and 45 when she returned as Diane, still dramatic, still eloquent, still capable of turning a conversation into theater. Her appearance reminded viewers that Frasier's past wasn't just history, it was unfinished emotional business. In 2026, Long is 77, and Diane remains one of classic TV's most unforgettable complicated loves. Daphne Moon, the warm, quirky caretaker whose visions and kindness changed the Crane household, was portrayed by Jane Leeves. Born in 1961 in Ilford, England. Leeves was 32 when the show began. Daphne could have been a simple comedic accessory, but Leeves made her feel lived in, funny, frustrated, romantic, and quietly strong. Her slow-burn love story with Niles became one of sitcom TV's most satisfying payoffs because it never lost its sweetness. In 2026, Leeves is 65, still acting and forever associated with one of the genre's most beloved characters. They gave us elegance, chaos, and comedy that still feels smarter than the room it's playing in. Some faces have changed, some lives took hard turns, and one beloved father figure is now gone. But the timing, the writing, and the humanity remain. Which Frasier star hits you with the most nostalgia in 2026? Comment below. And subscribe to Hollywood Echoes, 1960s, where legends don't fade, they simply echo